Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now the top stories this hour. National Chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Abdulahi Ganduje, reportedly resigns. And Kenyan court declares separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu's transfer to Nigeria illegal. And Kenyan government condemns fertilizer looting during protests. Welcome again. Now we begin with politics. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, Abdulahi Ganduje, has reportedly resigned from his position effective immediately. Now, Ganduje, a former governor of Kano State, reportedly cited health reasons for his decision, stating that he needs to focus on his well-being. Signs that all was not well with the occupant of the exalted seat became palpable as his aides were sighted packing his personal belongings from his office at the National Secretariat of the party in Abuja. Ganduje was elected as the APC national chairman in August 2023 amidst internal party conflicts. Prior to his election, Ganduje served as the governor of Kano State from 2015 to 2023. Our correspondent Emmanuel Baguru joins us from Kano State for more on this. Hello, Emmanuel. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Emmanuel, let's just go straight to it. How are the residents of Kano State taking this development?
Well, a lot of mixed feelings. Of course, mixed feelings from everywhere. And of course, you know, Ganduje is the most popular person in the APC. It's not really funny for the APC followers at all. But of course, it's jubilation for the people of the majority, the ruling NNPP. So it's a mixed feeling. Two objective reasons, two issues from the objective point of reporting. Two reasons can be said to be the reason why Ganduje resigned. Don't forget he was occupying the position of the North Central, which we took over from Abdulahi Ganduje of Nasarawa, the former governor of Nasarawa State. And of course, for the second reason, which he stated that, of course, it's because of ill health and he needs to take care of himself. But notwithstanding, it has, heated up the politics in Kano currently. That decision from Ganduje is going to be a decider for some person's political fate in Kano, whether we like it or not. Because as it is right now, the most popular person in the APC in Kano is the Deputy Senate President, talking about Senator Jibrin Barrow. So it's really, really not good for the followers of APC in Kano, because that has given prominence to the ruling NNPP, which has been led by Governor, of course, Abi Musa Konkoso, and of course the current Governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf. So it's really, a challenging time for the APC followers right now in Kano, yeah.
How much more information do we have about the claim of health or his well-being? Is there anything that has been heard regarding that?
Yes, he claimed, of course, there are statements from sources close to him that, of course, he claims that he's meant to go and take care of himself. Of course, Ganduje is of age. Of course, he's close to he's over 70. From what I have from my records, he's over 70. It's only natural that he takes care of himself as the party prepares for convention in December. So we cannot we don't really know the status of his health, but it's only natural that somebody who knows that he has been occupying the position of the North Central to pave way for an interim chairman to come and prepare. By the time it's convention time in December, the APC will have a substantive national chairman. So with the issue of health, I think it's only natural that he takes care of himself. And why he mentioned that is based known to him. But as it is now, all we know is that his decision to resign is going to cause a lot of drama in coming days as the gale of defections heightens in his home state in Kano and of course at the national level. Yeah.
So, Emmanuel Baguru, has there been any information yet from his ward or his party executives in the state?
No any information for now, but we expect that there will be a lot of statements that will come from the likes of Alhassan Adodogwa, of course, one of the strongest lawmaker in the state. Of course, the Deputy Senate President Baron Jibrin. Of course, they are the most popular persons in the APC for now. Since Ganduje has resigned. So we expect that they are going to make a lot of statements, and we expect that that statement, of course, will revolve around putting their party together and then not avoiding the temptation of running to, of course, the ruling NNPP, which is currently ruling in Kano. So for now, we're expecting a lot of reactions, counter reactions, and a lot of comments that will be coming in from different angles, both from the opposition in the state and then, of course, the ruling party. Yeah.
Well, Emmanuel Bagudu, thank you very much for joining us this evening from Kano. Now to judicial matters. The High Court of Kenya, sitting in Nairobi, the East African country, has declared the detention and transfer of leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, from Kenya to Nigeria in June 2021 as unlawful and illegal. The court also awarded compensatory damages of 10 million Kenyan shillings against the Kenyan government for gross violation of Kanu's fundamental right. Delivering judgments, the presiding judge, Justice E. Mwita, faulted both the Nigerian and Kenyan governments for a rendition of Kanu in gross violation of his rights as guaranteed by the constitution of the respective countries. Justice Mwita further added that having entered Kenya unlawfully, rather lawfully, he was subject to the protection offered by the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and the government of Kenya had an obligation to uphold and protect his rights and fundamental freedom. In a sweeping disciplinary move, the National Judicial Council has ordered the compulsory retirement of 10 judges from the Imo State Judiciary. 9 of the affected judges, 5 from the High Court and 4 from the customary Court of Appeal, were found guilty of falsifying their age, their dates of birth, in a bid to unlawfully extend their time on the bench. The 10th judge, Justice T.N. Unzeku, was shown the door for sidestepping judicial protocol to get sworn in as acting chief judge, a clear breach of constitutional procedure. These decisions were taken at the Council's 109th meeting, chaired by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun. A firm message that the CJN, or rather the NJC, is not backing down from its stance on integrity and accountability in the nation's judiciary. The cries of Nigerians are growing louder as a relentless wave of violent attacks continue to sweep through northern Nigeria and the Middle Belt. From the brutal massacre in Yelwata, Benue State, to the recent lynching of wedding guests in Plateau, the nation is once again gripped by grief, bloodshed, and fear. News Central's Oluwakemi Alimi reports on Nigeria's worsening insecurity and the growing call for action and accountability.
The rising tide of violence in northern Nigeria and the Middle Belt is becoming increasingly alarming. What was once labeled as communal clashes or banditry is now being described by many as genocide, one that is destroying lives, uprooting families, and leaving entire communities in ruins. In Yelwata, Benue State, dozens were killed in what locals and traditional leaders insist was a coordinated and premeditated attack. Men, women, and children slaughtered in cold blood.
What we are dealing with here in Benue is a calculated, well-planned, full-scale genocidal invasion and land-grabbing campaign by header terrorists and bandits, which has been on for decades.
Farming communities that once bustled with life now lie empty. Survivors have fled, and troubling questions hang in the air. Who is now occupying the lands abandoned by the displaced? Why are those responsible for these killings not facing prosecution? Is this violence driven by ethnicity, religion, or something far more calculated?
Imagine people just stopping by to ask questions. The next thing, people mobilize to kill them for the simple fact that they are worshiping a different god from the other people, or they speak a different language. And it is not the way it was before.
The human cost is staggering. More internally displaced persons, widespread psychological trauma, and a looming food crisis worsened by destroyed farmlands and disrupted livelihoods. Across the country, Nigerians are demanding answers. Who is behind the killings? Why does justice remain elusive? For many, reconciliation is no longer enough. The demand now is for consequences for those who orchestrate and enable violence to face the law.
We have given the president mandate to rule over this country. He ought to know who are killing fellow Nigerians. We need to identify the perpetrators, those who are benefiting from it, and bring them to book, not by saying it, but by seeing them in the jailhouses.
In a country once known for its communal harmony, where religion, ethnicity, or region didn't define your safety, the cries for justice, peace, and restoration have never been more desperate. In Lagos, for News Central, Oluwakemi Alimi.
Let's go on our first break now, and when we come back, Nigerian Army declares 3-day mourning period in honor of 17 soldiers who lost their lives in recent attack in Niger State. We'll bring you the details of this and more when we return. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back. Now we talk about the manner and mode of detention for IPOB leader Kanu as regards the Kenyan position. And to speak more on this, we are joined by counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, Maxwell Okpara. Barrister Maxwell, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We have a few questions for you. Let's get started. What legal remedies or compensation is Nnamdi Kanu entitled to following this declaration of illegality?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, well, it is another victory for democracy. It is another victory of rule of law. It is a judgment against impunity. It is a judgment against unlawful treatment. It is a judgment against intimidation. You recall that Federal High Court has awarded 1 billion naira in favor of Nnamdi Kanu against Federal Government of Nigeria for gross violation of his rights. And another enforcement of fundamental rights by Enugu State High Court awarded 500 million naira against Federal Government in favor of Nnamdi Kanu. Today, Kenya High Court has also awarded 121 million naira against their own government in favor of Nnamdi Kanu for allowing themselves to be used and deceived by the government of the then government of President Muhammad Buhari under the Attorney General of Attorney General and Minister for Justice then Malami SAN. So they declared that the way and manner Nnamdi Kanu was abducted from Kenya to Nigeria is unlawful, is illegal. It amounts to illegality.
Okay.
And that is the summary of the judgment. And we are happy.
Interesting summary there. This illegality now, could this ruling potentially invalidate any legal proceedings against Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria here due to the unlawful manner he was transferred?
Of course. Recall that the Court of Appeal has declared that particular action unlawful. The Court of Appeal has declared that particular action illegal. Supreme Court has also declared that particular action illegal. But the Supreme Court, after declaring that action illegal, after saying that Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail, after saying that the manner in which the use of Operation Plateau to attack Nnamdi Kanu and to kill 38 persons in his house is unlawful, after they said that Nnamdi Kanu should go and face trial. The question there is that somebody, can you play something or not and expect it to stand? Has there been any judgment who said that in manner in which somebody is being arrested matters a lot, especially when it has to do with repatriation or extradition. The way and manner in which somebody is being brought must be considered first. And that is why we are saying, if you do not follow the due process in bringing somebody, the trial is null and void and dead on arrival. So now the question there is that, on what basis are you trying Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria? Where the courts, both foreign and the domestic, have said that the manner in which you brought him in Nigeria is wrong. Okay. So we are waiting for the judiciary. We are going to raise it in our defense, and we are believing that the judiciary will do the needful.
So in view of this, what impact does this ruling have on future cooperation between Nigeria and Kenya regarding extradition or maybe transfer of persons?
Of course, it shows that Kenya does not condone evil. It also shows that for future occurrences, you cannot just come to somebody's country, somebody that entered into a country lawfully, and you want them to take the person out. It shows that Kenya has condemned evil. And as a matter of fact, of course, the government of the previous government we witnessed a lot of illegality, we witnessed a lot of unfair treatment, we witnessed a lot of unconstitutional attitudes by that previous government. It has gone a long way of telling Kenya to be very, very careful in any action they are taking. I must commend the Kenya judiciary for taking that bold decision, and it will also go a long way, as a matter of fact, of strengthening bilateral relationship between Nigeria and Kenya.
Oh, I want to say thank you very much for joining us and giving us your 2 pence on the matter. Thank you indeed. Now, a high-powered committee has been set up by the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang, as part of measures aimed at uncovering the root causes of recurring attacks in the state and finding lasting solutions. News Central's Chizoba Anyanwe here reports.
It's been 1 week since the deadly mob action in Mangun District, Mangu local government area of Plateau State that claimed the lives of 8 indigenes of Kaduna State while in Plateau. Governor Caleb Mutfwang had reached out to his Kaduna counterpart, Obasani, a move widely seen as helping to de-escalate tensions and prevent reprisals. In an exclusive chat, Plateau State Commissioner for Information, Joyce Ramnap, confirmed that the deceased have been buried and those injured have been discharged and are recovering in their home states. But focus is now shifting to prevention and how to stop this cycle of violence.
The government had taken measures to put together a very powerful committee which has been co-chaired by the GNI chairman who is the emir of Wase, and of course one of our Christian leaders on the Plateau, Professor Yamsat. And that committee has equal representation in terms of the spread of membership, and the whole idea behind that committee is to ensure that we build good relationships within our communities, and to also see how we can build trust for people to coexist without having any differences within them, and of course putting aside any difference that could further divide us as a people.
While government efforts are welcome, not everyone agrees on the best approach.
Dialogues that are taking place at the local level, at subnational level, have not been addressing the situation, and that the best thing to do is to escalate it to the national level and ask people to come and say why they think that the only way to live in Nigeria and to take over Nigeria is to kill some other people.
For others, state or community policing could be a more effective strategy.
Community policing, for me, it will go a long way to address some of these issues.
So the president should just give the order, let each state have their own policing so that they can defend their territory. We need to ensure that empower the Operation Rainbow to be seen in all the local government, especially those areas that are mostly affected.
Despite the divergent views, many stakeholders remain hopeful that peace will return to all troubled parts of the state, and soon. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyanwe.
Now, in a sweeping disciplinary move, the National Judicial Council has ordered the compulsory retirement of 10 judges from the Imo State Judiciary. We took this story from earlier. Now, to help us make sense of this, we are joined by legal practitioner Bayo Sani. Bayo, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, isn't it?
This evening. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yes,
so let's talk constitution now. What constitutional right does the NJC actually have when it comes to removal or retirement of these judges? If you'd please explain to us.
Thank you. You see, NJC as a body was established by, or should I say that is empowered by the provisions of Section 153, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution. That provision is the provision that birthed what we know as Nigerian Judicial Commission. So, and by that provision, they have been given a broad oversight functions over the judicial officers, that's judges in Nigeria. And by that provision, they can recommend judges for removal, they can recommend judges for appointment. I mean, they can recommend legal practitioners for appointment. Both at the state high court, federal high court, and up to the Supreme Court. So it's a constitutional provision. And what they have done that is now being reported is part of their responsibilities as provided in the 1999 Constitution under that Section 153, subsection 1.
So talking about responsibilities,
yes.
Whose is it now, whether the NBA or the NJC, when it comes to due process, regarding how these judges were fished out, how the investigation went on, and how they're going to enforce these removals? Do you think that the NJC actually followed due process themselves?
NJC followed due process. Before any judge is removed in Nigeria, such judge is, probably there must have been a petition written by a legal practitioner or a litigant. That's members of the society can also write petition against judges if they feel that the judge has acted in a manner that is contrary to contrary to the ethics of the bench. So, but you see, it's a collective responsibility between NJC and legal practitioners. Legal practitioners, that's the Nigerian Bar Association now, as stakeholders in that space, has the responsibility to report any erring judge to NJC.
Report
but it's not limited
erring judge, but whose responsibility was it in the first place to actually ensure that the figures or numbers or stats or whatever it is that these judges are presenting is actually correct? Because if you can falsify your age as a judge, there must be a body that's responsible for taking that data. That should be the Code of Conduct Bureau. Now, before your appointment, you are supposed to fill certain forms. Make your data available to certain bodies, which includes the Code of Conduct Bureau and NJC itself. And don't forget that what these judges have done is actually a crime. It is a crime because it is perjury. When you lie under oath, it's perjury. And those information that they gave that has now turned out to be false, actually information that they gave under oath. So even if NJC has limited their sanction to just removal, I'm telling you now that it could go beyond that. Yes, they can actually be recommended for prosecution. Because if you have presented those information to Nigeria, to NJC as a body, you are signing this, this form under oath. So you are deemed to have supplied right information, and you are stating that the facts presented on those forms are accurate and true. Now they found out that this information are not true. You have lied about your age. You have lied about several things. So NJC is in order to have sanctioned those kind of, because if you are a judge adjudicating over matters, citizens of this country must have full confidence in your abilities, in your integrity. So there's a presumption in your favor that you are a man of integrity, high integrity. But these ones that we have seen now have shown that a lot has to be done when it comes to verifying, doing running background checks on this person. And I like the question that you asked, that whose responsibility is it? I have mentioned Code of Conduct Bureau here, but at the same time, perhaps we should widen the net of background checks. We should involve other authorities, other bodies, probably law enforcement agencies, to conduct deep background checks on those people before they get to the point of being appointed or being sworn into office, so that we don't have this kind of embarrassing situation again in our might
judicial
there be
system.
any who are perhaps maybe caught in this net maybe by mistake, and what procedural safeguards are there so that these people don't suffer along with the rest, do you think?
I didn't get that, sorry.
I'm asking if there are any judicial officers that might be caught in the net who aren't supposed to be there. Are there any safeguards in place so that they're protected?
They are given, you see, MJC will usually follow the right to fair hearing. I mean, they will give them the right to fair hearing. They don't just rely on information presented by the other side. They would have called them, they would have faced panel set up by NJC to look into the issue. So before that, if you look at it, not just those judges. Some judges were warned. Some were given final warning for judicial rascality. Some were removed. Some were, bad and all that. And some were pardoned. Because after looking into the petition against them, the petition was found to be, I don't want to use the word frivolous, but not founded, not supported by enough evidence. And some are frivolous, and they were thrown out. So if you are in order, if you have not run foul of the ethics of the bench, what is expected of you as a judge, you have no reason to be afraid. You surely be. Look at the the judge from Imo, for example. It is clear under Section 271 of the Constitution. If the office of the chief judge becomes vacant, the governor will appoint the most senior judge as the CJ. You are number 4. And the judge and the governor beckoned on you to come and take such position. And you accepted it. You are not a politician. You are a judge. You are not a politician. Your oath is different from the oath of
exactly,
political
and definitely
office
the
holders.
judiciary is not in any way resembles the political.
You must abstain totally from politics.
Ayasani, I want to say thank you very much for coming in
You're
to
welcome.
give us your 2 pence on the issue.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back. President Bola Tinubu held a closed-door meeting with key political actors from Rivers State in a move to resolve the prolonged crisis rocking the state. Now, the meeting held at the presidential villa in Abuja brought together the suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike, Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly Martin Zamawale, and other members of the state legislature.
All agreed to work together with the governor, and the governor also agreed to work together with all of us who are members of the same political family. Yes, just like humans, you have a disagreement, and then you also have a time to also settle your disagreement, and that has been finally concluded today, and we have come to report to Mr. President that is what we have agreed. So for me, everything is over, and enjoy everybody who believe to work with us, to also work together with everybody. That there's no more acrimony, there's nothing to say we are disagreeing. We have all agreed on everything. So we thank God. For me, it's a day we have to thank Almighty God.
For me, it's very important that this day has come to be. What we need for the progress of Rivers State is peace. And by the special grace of God this night, with the help of Mr. President and the agreement of the leaders of the states, including our leader, peace has returned in Rivers State. We'll do everything within our power to make sure that we sustain it this time around.
Still on this matter, to discuss it with us, we have President Ijaw National Congress, Professor Benjamin Okaba. Professor, you're welcome. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. So we would like to know, was this reconciliation the sort you had expected, especially with the unspoken caveats we understand eventually made it happen, Professor?
Yeah. Okay.
Professor, I'm hoping that you heard me.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you now. And I hope you can hear me.
No, I
too.
didn't hear you. No.
Okay, good.
Yeah, let me come out loud with your voice, sorry.
I had just asked if this reconciliation was the sort of reconciliation you had expected, especially with the unspoken caveats that we understand eventually made it happen.
Well, we had expected reconciliation long ago. So for me, this reconciliation is long overdue. In fact, even before the imposition of the state of emergency, the president will have called these best parties together, and if more efforts were actually put in place, will have gone beyond this. But all the same, without knowing the terms of the negotiation, or what I mean, the terms of agreement, we applaud the fact that peace will return to Rivers State. The kind of peace that will return is what we don't know, whether it's going to be graveyard peace or is peace that will stimulate justice and justice to all. Is another question that will be answered much later, at least when we know the very conditions under which the peace accord is signed.
Professor, there was some high-level consultations going on here. We saw the Speaker of the State, we saw that Martin Mawale, the President is involved, and of course some state leaders. So regarding consultations, we're wondering whether groups like yours, the Ijaw Nation Congress, were you carried along? If you were, what contributions were made from the Ijaw National Congress?
Well, in the process, we were not specifically called upon to present our position on the issues, because our positions are already known. We want justice, we want peace, we want a situation where a governor serves as a governor with all the rights and privileges. We wanted a situation where the man who has the mantle of leadership in Rivers State should have control of all the resources, human and natural resources. So if they had specifically called upon the leadership of the INC to say, what is your position? I would have done so, but all the same, I felt our position is already known, which is about peace. But I'm afraid if I can speak more on it, because I actually don't know the details of the agreement. Okay. That's why I said earlier that what kind of peace are we referring to?
Okay, Professor Benjamin. Professor Benjamin, well, I've got one question here, and it's a hard question, and I would like to know if you would be surprised to see Governor Fubara step down after his first term, or if you'd be disappointed if you saw him defecting to the APC after this.
Well, at this point, nothing surprises me. Anything that happens will not be a surprise to me. That is the truth. Anything that happens will not be a surprise to me. And I will not
expected. Are you
give
saying this
details
are you saying this could be
as to
expected?
why if today is called back, if he's called back, reinstated to office in the next 48 hours, so be it. If anything happens, it will not be a surprise to me, because all that has happened are contrary to the expectations of majority of Nigerians. Like I said earlier, the imposition of the solo administrator was not called for in any manner at all, because all we have seen from the appointment of the solo administrator down to all that has happened, including endorsement or giving approval to a list of membership for certain commissions, including the RISEC and all that, were done in favor of a particular party that has shown so much interest in the capture of power. So if he says we have had agreements and the agreements are far-reaching and well, anything that happens, we never expected those things. So even these ones that are coming forth and whatever that will happen tomorrow are issues that are for us not going well with the majority of Nigerians and the job people.
Professor Benjamin.
But the paramount thing is that
Professor Benjamin, I've only got 3 minutes with you, and I think I've exhausted it. My apologies for cutting in, but I can't help but hear a sense of despondency in your response. But thank you very much for joining us this evening to give us your 2 pence on the matter. Thank you. We'll now move on to education. Our high-level policy dialogue brought together experts, advocates, and decision-makers to examine how access to education can help rebuild lives, restore dignity, and break the cycle of trauma, particularly for survivors of children affected by such violence. Our News Central's Sumaya Abubakar here reports.
Following a closed-door session, stakeholders and advocates came together under the theme Education as Reparation for Survivors of and Children Affected by Conflict-Related Sexual Violence. The dialogue emphasized that education must play a key role in responding to the long-term consequences of such violence, whether experienced firsthand by survivors of sexual violence or children impacted by the trauma of conflict.
There's so many children that are out of school prior to conflict, but I think conflict has exacerbated it. It's almost every state in this country has children that are somehow affected or traumatized by one kind of conflict or insecurity or instability, and we wanted to make sure that we had a model that could be fit for purpose, that could be scaled up in our country, but nationally that brought 2 disciplines together: education, psychology, to ensure that children have the best possible chance to thrive.
The event focused on shaping policy approaches that recognize education as part of a broader reparative process. This includes children affected by conflict-related sexual violence, whether through displacement, loss, or exposure to traumatic events.
The role that civil society can play. We have looked at the work of the NIM Foundation in particular, and what NIM Foundation does is something very, very unique. They are testing and demonstrating that it works for children to heal in schools, to get mental health care through schools while learning and building their own communities. And it's exactly that reparation is. By showing, by doing, I think they've inspired all of us today. They have inspired the government as well, and I think that's one way of scaling up, is really showing the government how this can work. It's actually feasible, it's doable, it's affordable, and now we can all scale it up together.
With renewed commitment from local and international actors, today's dialogue signals a crucial step towards ensuring that survivors of conflict are not left behind. Many here believe that education can indeed become a powerful healing agent. In Abuja, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
The Kenyan government on Friday condemned the vandalism and looting of a national fertilizer depot during this week's deadly protest, saying it threatens a catastrophic food production crisis. We're going to bring you details of this after our very short break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. Once again, the Kenyan government on Friday condemned the vandalism and looting of a national fertilizer depot during this week's deadly protests, saying it threatens a catastrophic food production crisis. Thousands took to the streets across Kenya on Wednesday to mark 1 year since massive anti-tax demonstrations. The rallies began peacefully but descended into chaos as young men battled police and destroyed thousands of businesses, leaving 16 dead and hundreds injured. Now sports. Kwara United surprise finalists Abakaliki FC will clash in the 2025 Presidential Federation Cup final on Saturday at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos. The high-stakes encounter offers both teams a shot at national glory and a CAF Confederation Cup ticket. Kwara United, led by striker Wasiu Alalade, entered as favourites against a resilient Abakaliki side that stunned several top teams en route to the final. Abakaliki will rely on Pascal Eluchuku, Cyril Timothy, Chisom Ogbu and other key players to continue their fairy tale run. While Kwara seeks to cap their strong campaign with silverware, Abakaliki aim to complete a historic upset in what promises to be a gripping end to Nigeria's oldest domestic cup competition. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. National Chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress, Abdulahi Ganduje, has reportedly resigned. And Kenya court has declared separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu's transfer to Nigeria illegal. We also told you that Kenya government has condemned fertilizer looting during protests. Now do remember you can send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times 274, Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.